detected.
At this point in Ravenholm, the player has learned all the gameplay elements available to them and can predict their interactions. This allows us to build more complex setups, providing a greater level of threat and more freedom in how the player can approach each scenario. This arena is a deliberately entwined space that the player will need to explore, and we use that exploration time to slowly ramp up combat intensity. The faster the player explores, the faster we ramp it up. The freeform nature of this design made it challenging to tune, given the large dynamic range in how players played through it.
Lacerations detected. Levels detected. Automatic medical. Mission depleted.
Playtester archetypes. Iteration and regular playtest were the lifeblood of Half-Life 2's production. Every week, we'd quietly watch over the shoulder of a player going through the section we were working on, taking notes on what worked and what didn't. It was important for us to test with a wide range of skill levels, to be sure that we weren't making decisions that only worked for some. Over time, we learned to choose specific types of playtesters based on the development stage we were at. Early on, we used experienced gamers, usually teammates, who could handle rough, unfinished areas and were good at explaining their thought process. For combat testing, we'd find players of all skill levels, especially those creative in their usage with the tools. Finally, as sections became more polished, we'd focus on beginners, people who didn't play games much or weren't familiar with first-person shooters. Even if they weren't necessarily someone who might buy the game, we often learned something valuable from watching them.
Be free, my child!
alterations detected. Warning. Blood toxin levels detected. User
Ah, there you are. At last. I will send the cart for you, brother. It will be but a moment. Patience, brother. Guard yourself well.
Final Arena. When we finished the first pass over Ravenholm, this rooftop was intended to be the culminating fight. Like other spaces in Ravenholm, it had begun life as a space purely focused on being an interesting visual location. We felt it was important that, as the player left Ravenholm, they had a moment to look back over the town they had just survived and get a glimpse of where they were headed next. Multiple gameplay groups took a shot at building a fight here, but the tight geometry and performance constraints meant we never really created a finale we were happy with. Not unlike the Half-Life saga itself, it seemed as if Ravenholm was destined to not have a real ending.
Almost there, brother. Now, brother, step into the cart. The handbrake, brother. Release it and come down. Greetings, brother. And so we meet at last. You are to be commended for avoiding my traps. The work of a man who once had too much time on his hands and now finds time for nothing but the work of salvation. I suspect you have little wish to remain in Ravenholm, so I will show you to the mines. As for me, a shepherd must tend to his flock, especially when they have grown unruly. Follow me, brother, and tread lightly, for this is hallowed ground. Over here, brother. Over here, brother.
Response rules. We knew early on that we wanted a lot of dynamic dialogue in-game, so we needed a system to handle it effectively. We aimed for a system that allowed sound designers to add and tweak lines without involving programmers, made the dialogue tightly responsive to the game's state, and minimized repetition. With these requirements, we created the response rules system. Whenever a character speaks outside of a choreographed scene, this system determines which line to deliver. Rather than picking up lines directly, character AI is constantly flagging opportunities for speech whenever a relevant event happens. Spotting the player, getting hurt, firing a last round in a gun, encountering overwhelming enemies, and so on. With each opportunity, it sends the response rules system a packet of data about the game's current state, and the system returns the most fitting dialogue line, if there is any. This setup allowed our sound designers to create a detailed decision matrix for dialogue. For example, a character might have a different set of lines for announcing a reload while under fire versus after the end of a fight, or if only one ally is left standing, or if there's a strider in sight, etc. By the time we shipped Half-Life 2, We thought we'd only scratched the surface of this system's potential. It became a core feature of Episode 1's Alex, and went on to power the dynamic dialogue in our later games, including TF2's classes and the cast of Left 4 Dead.
The real final arena. Very late in the development of Half-Life 2, when we were reviewing the entire game for final improvement opportunities, we decided we did, in fact, want a real finale for Ravenholm. The rooftop fight wasn't enough. After some discussion, we chose to add this final fight through the graveyard with Grigori alongside the player. It was risky, development-wise, but we felt the game needed it. Since we were near the end of production, we had a mature set of gameplay tools to work with, but even more importantly, by this point, we understood our own game. Making a game is often a process of learning what it is you're actually creating. Why is our game fun? How is it different? What are the most important elements? As we built the game and watched playtesters go through it, we learned answers to those questions and, in turn, got better at making it. So the graveyard came together quickly and required far less iteration than many earlier areas of the game.
Aim for the head. Woe betide thee, child. The grave holds nothing worse for you.
Minor lacerations detected.
Come to the light. I think no worse of thee. Follow me. Quickly, brother. Lend a hand, brother. You meant no harm. Beware!
Detected. Warning. Blood oxygen levels detected. Emergency. User dead. Imminent. Vital signs are dropping. Ammunition depleted.
Hurry while I hold the gate! Go quickly! Farewell, brother! I fear I deliver you to a darker place. May the light of lights illuminate your path. Look to your own salvation.
The complex route the player takes to safely navigate this mineshaft gives them plenty of time to see what's waiting for them at the bottom. And surprise, it's headcrabs. Honestly, it's often headcrabs. But in this case, it's poison headcrabs, which are fun by themselves, but a real riot when you add fast headcrabs into the mix. These two guys make a great combination. Neither is particularly dangerous on its own, but together they're incredibly lethal. Once poisoned, a single hit from a fast headcrab is enough to kill the player. And this is what biologists call symbiosis. At least that's what we think.
Major fracture detected.
This section of Game Track was added late in development, after we moved Eli's lab and Ravenholm to come before Coast. While you might think that we build the game linearly, we actually split up into 3 different groups and worked in parallel on different sections, starting mostly in the middle of the game. Each group's first pass focused on nailing down the core of their section before they moved on. And then once we had a rough version of the whole game laid out, we went back over each section to polish it, adding successful elements from other areas and removing what wasn't working. In some cases, such as in Ravenholm, entire sections were moved. And then, after Ravenholm was relocated, we needed a new piece to connect it to the coast, which is the area you're entering now. Given the time constraints, this short section was built using existing, proven gameplay elements, like snipers and combine soldiers.
Half-Life 2's physics gave us a variety of tools to make combat more exciting. For instance, when enemies miss the player, we subtly redirect their shots toward breakable objects nearby, adding mayhem and creating that action movie feel. We also employed physics to add hints. We created what we called ragdoll magnets across the game to make enemy corpses fall in interesting and dramatic ways, such as off ledges or into the path of a train.
Snipers. The Half-Life 2 team was never very large, so we were always looking for ways to create new gameplay without high asset production costs. The sniper is a great example. It has no actual model, just a laser beam, so it required no art or animation support. When it dies, it simply spawns a Combine Soldier ragdoll and launches it out the window. Despite that simplicity, we got a lot of unique gameplay from it. We were especially happy with how it interacted with the physics objects in the game world. Players are used to exploiting explosive objects near enemies, so it felt fitting to have an enemy that flipped that dynamic when the player was in cover.